Alright TM Nation, so my Studio Buds Plus earbuds came in, and of course I had to do my normal testing to see how they stack up against the older Studio Buds, the most versatile pair of buds out of the bunch right now, the Beats Fit Pros, and the Powerbeats Pro earbuds, which are still going strong almost 4 years later. And guys, I always do these types of videos because, as you all are aware, when new tech drops, older tech usually goes on sale, and if price is your main concern, just because the Studio Buds Plus are the newest out, that doesn't mean that they're worth the extra money if the upgrades they bring are not important to you. That being said, in this video, I'm gonna cover the upgrades that the Studio Buds Plus bring to the table over the OG Studio Buds and let you know if they have dethroned the Beats Fit Pros as the Beats earbuds to buy in 2023. I have done unboxing videos on the Beats Fit Pros, the Studio Buds, and the Powerbeats Pros as well, so I'll leave links to those videos in the description if you want to check them out. But with the Studio Buds Plus, the unboxing experience is similar to the OG pair, but this time you get 4 pairs of ear tips instead of 3 to provide more flexibility for folks out there that have issues finding the right fit in their ears. The design of the Buds Plus with both the case and the earbuds is the same for the most part, with a couple of notable differences. One is the awesome new clear color that I had to pick up so I wouldn't confuse them with the older pair, and I have to say that it looks even better in person. This design is really dope. The cases in terms of the design and size are exactly the same, but the Buds Plus earbuds are 1 gram heavier than the Studio Buds. This comes as a result of 95% of the internals of the Buds Plus being different. Not only that, the Buds Plus also have 3 new vents on them that are aimed at assisting with airflow to produce a fuller sound and less pressure in the ears. But comfort wise, both pairs feel fine in my ears. I've always liked the design of the Studio Buds because it makes it simple to put them in and take them out of my ears without having to fidget around too much. I am also able to wear them comfortably for hours at a time without any issues with ear fatigue or discomfort, and I can also exercise with them as well. But once I start sweating, they don't stay in place for me as good as the Beats Fit Pros or the Powerbeats Pros. This is the case because neither the Studio Buds nor the Studio Buds Plus have any ear hooks or wings, so once the sweat starts flowing, they tend to slide around a bit and I have to reposition them so they don't fall out. But besides that, all 4 pairs share an IPX4 water resistance rating, so there's no winner there in terms of their water resistance. IPX4 does just fine against splashes of water and sweat, so out of the bunch, if I'm looking for a pair that I can use for pretty much anything comfortably, the Beats Fit Pros are gonna win in this department. The fit with the Powerbeats Pros is great and they don't move around much, but the case is just a little bit large for me to throw in a pocket and not have it bulge out. The battery life has been improved with the Buds Plus. Now they offer up to 9 hours of use on a charge without ANC, or up to 6 with it on, and up to 36 when you include the case. The Studio Buds are rated at up to 8 hours on a charge, but I have really never been able to get that number with ANC off, and with ANC on, I typically get 4.5 to 5 hours on a charge. The Beats Fit Pro earbuds will give you a maximum usage of about 7 hours without ANC. That will drop to about 5.5 or 6 if you choose to use ANC on, and you'll get an extra 2 charges in the case. The Powerbeats Pros will give you up to 9 hours worth of use on a charge and about 24 with the case, but one thing that you do need to remember is that this case charges via lightning cable, so this may be less than ideal for an Android user. It's also important to note that none of the earbuds in this video come with a case that supports wireless charging. Another thing that I want to note for you guys is that only the Beats Fit Pro earbuds support multi-point connectivity across your iOS and Mac devices with auto switching. You can pair the Studio Buds and the Buds Plus with multiple devices and switch manually, but the convenience of editing my videos on my MacBook Pro and the Beats Fit Pros automatically switching to my iPhone for incoming calls is something that I really have grown to appreciate. I do like the ease of use with the Studio Buds and the Buds Plus across my Android and iOS devices though, because as long as I have the Beats app installed on my Galaxy Z Fold 4, I have the same easy connect features and customization options I get with my iPhone, which is great. For controls, All of these earbuds use physical buttons for those of you all that do not like touch controls, but I do like the buttons on the Buds Plus better than what you get on the OG Studio Buds because they require less force to pick up your feedback in executing functions, and I never feel like I have to jam them down into my ears when changing tracks or summoning my voice assistant. The call quality with the Studio Buds Plus is also very good as they use larger and improved mics that are positioned to focus on your speech, and they also use an algorithm that is aimed at blocking out all types of ambient noise. I did take samples with all 4 pairs so that you can judge for yourselves. Let's check them out. Alright guys, so right now I have the Powerbeats Pros paired to my iPhone 14 Pro. As you can see, the audio that you're hearing is coming from the microphones on them, and I'm not going to do any type of editing to this sample, so this should give you a pretty good idea of how well they'll perform in a relatively quiet environment. And now I have some simulated background noise playing in the background. This part of the test is aimed at seeing how well the microphones on these earbuds will focus on my speech while rejecting some of that noise. Now I have the Beats Fit Pros paired to the iPhone 14 Pro. Everything else about this test is exactly the same, still paired to the iPhone 14 Pro, and I'm not going to edit this sample, so this should give you a pretty good idea of how well these perform in a relatively quiet environment. And here is the background noise test with the Beats Fit Pros. Not going to do any type of editing to this sample, and the noise is at the same exact level as the other test, so this should give you a pretty good idea of how well these will focus on your speech while rejecting some of your ambient noise. And now I have the Studio Buds paired to my iPhone 14 Pro. Everything else about this test is exactly the same. Still not going to do any type of editing to this sample, so this should give you a pretty good idea of how well these perform in a relatively quiet room. And here is the background noise test using the Studio Buds. Everything else remains exactly the same, so this should give you a pretty good idea of how well these can focus on your speech while rejecting some of your ambient noise. And last but certainly not least, I have the Studio Buds Plus paired to my iPhone 14 Pro. Again, I think you guys get it by now. I'm not going to edit this sample in any way, shape, or form, and the room is still relatively quiet, so this is a sample for you guys to judge. And here is the background noise test using the Studio Buds Plus. Again, everything else is going to remain the same. The volume of the background noise has been the same throughout all of these tests, so this should give you a pretty good idea of the improvements of these mics. And right now, guys, as you can see, I'm not using any of the earbuds. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how loud the background noise is so that you can judge the test a little bit better. In terms of the ANC performance, the Studio Buds Plus are said to perform 1.6 times better than the Studio Buds at reducing your ambient noise. The difference to me really isn't that noticeable, especially when media is playing, but I was able to pick up a slight improvement with the Buds Plus when I wasn't playing any type of media. The Buds Plus did filter out a little bit more of what was going on around me, but this is really not a situation that I find myself in very often. If I have my earbuds in, 9 times out of 10, I'm either listening to music or I have them in transparency mode to hear what's going on around me. The Beats Fit Pro earbuds still perform really well for me in blocking out ambient noise. I use them all the time for walking outside, and I usually can't hear much of what's going on around me, so I would probably say it's a toss-up in this department because they all do really well in my opinion. But if you want ANC that is noticeably stronger without any media playing, then the Buds Plus are probably your best bet. I will say though that the Buds Plus are the clear winner in terms of transparency. They are said to capture up to 50% more of what's going on around you than the Studio Buds, and I think this is pretty accurate based on my testing. The Powerbeats Pros don't feature ANC or transparency, so if those are features that you need, there you go. Now moving on and touching on the sound quality, there is definitely a difference in the quality that you get across the Beats line, and I can definitely hear the progression starting from the Powerbeats Pros going up to the Studio Buds Plus. The Powerbeats Pros and the Studio Buds are more bass heavy, and they're not as refined in terms of the clarity that you'll get with the highs and mids. Both pairs can get a little bit muddy when you crank them up to the higher volumes, especially if you're listening to something with a nice bass line. The sound signature was definitely improved with the Beats Fit Pro earbuds, which provide a similar bass response, but with highs that keep up better and mids that are forward but not overpowering. The Studio Buds Plus take what you get with the Beats Fit Pro sound signature and improve it another notch to provide the most well-rounded sound that you can get from Beats earbuds at the moment. The easiest way that I can describe it is buttery smooth with a full sound stage that covers the bass, highs, and mids almost equally well. They also get more than loud enough for my personal liking, so I really don't have any complaints with the way that they sound. So now let's go ahead and talk about the pricing and which pair that I would recommend, taking everything into consideration. The Powerbeats Pros, even though they are almost 4 years old, are still on sale for $179, and they still have a market of people who will buy them brand new at that price because of what they deliver. The design is excellent in terms of the way that they fit in my ears, and the sound quality is good for what most people will use them for, which is exercising. They are loud and boomy, and sometimes that's what you need to get through a tough workout, but besides that, I would not buy them for an everyday pair of earbuds because the case is too large and they don't feature ANC or transparency. The Studio Buds are on sale right now for $149, the Beats Fit Pros are $199, and the Studio Buds Plus are $169. If I had to pick one pair as my daily buds and price was a concern, I would go for the Studio Buds Plus right now because of the battery life, the call quality, the fit in the ears, the improved transparency performance, and the much improved sound quality. The Beats Fit Pros would come in a close second because I do like all of the features that come with the H1 chip, and they are just a really solid pair of all-around earbuds that I can use for pretty much anything. The Studio Buds would come next as they are still a really solid pair of earbuds and they are more than adequate for most people, but given the improvements that you get with the Studio Buds Plus, I do think that they're worth the extra $20, and the Powerbeats would come in last place because I rarely use these outside of exercise because of the form factor and how large the case is. But with all of that being said, it's good that you have options across the Beats line depending on what you're looking for. Before you get on out of here, if you rock with the channel and your boy Tech Mo, hit that subscribe button and knock that notification bell out so you won't miss any of my uploads. Welcome to TM Nation. Peace.